This is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg here in South Africa. My name, of course, is Evan Jansen. This show is always live and broadcast from our studios in Auckland Park. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube so you can watch us in the office. And the whole show is available on demand later if you want to watch it back on our YouTube channel. Now today, first up, we look at the 5 South Africans returning home after their ordeal in China. And we ask the question, when will the others return? It's also Mandela Day tomorrow, and we cross through Kunu for an update shortly. Also, we look at the launch of Ahmed Kathrada's new book. There's a look at sports, comedy and music, all in a Friday show that will celebrate the life of iconic leader Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. But first, let's get the day's news from Anindo Mel.
Good morning, I'm Anindo Mel. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines today. PRASA CEO Lucky Montana will brief the media today on his dismissal from the National Rail Agency. It was announced yesterday that the PRASA board decided to remove Montana from his position before his notice period ends. PRASA is also set to brief the media on the matter. Meanwhile, Transport Minister Dippy Peters has been informed of the board's decision. The board has assured the department that it will ensure that the entity remains stable and continues to deliver on its mandate. 5 South Africans that were detained in the Chinese province of Inner Mongolia are expected to be welcomed home today. This while the fate of another 5 South Africans still detained remains uncertain. The Chinese government is yet to indicate whether they will be charged alongside 4 others. They were among a group of 20 tourists who were arrested last Friday on suspicion of having links to a terrorist organization. It's feared that Burundi will slide back into violent conflict ahead of its presidential election set to take place on Tuesday. A group of independent UN human rights experts has called on the Security Council to take immediate action before mass atrocities that could threaten a regional conflict unfolds. In Nigeria, 2 bombings by suspected Boko Haram militants killed an estimated 50 people in the northeastern city of Gombe. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the blast, but suspicion is likely to fall on the Islamist group. Boko Haram has attacked the city several times during a 6-year insurgency. Around 70 people were also injured in the attacks. And South Africans have been getting into the spirit of giving back in small and major ways. This as various events are being held around the country ahead of Mandela Day tomorrow. And in sport, bad weather is expected to disrupt play at the British Open in St Andrews later today. Dustin Johnson leads into round 2 of the Open Championship with 7 under par and is 1 clear. 2-time US Open champion Retief Goosen leads the South African charge with a 6 under par 66, just 1 shot behind Johnson. Well, remember, you can find all of those stories on our Newsroom Facebook page. Just search for Newsroom. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Evan, over to you.
Thanks, Annie. Now, as 5 South Africans who were detained in the Chinese province of Inner Mongolia are expected to be welcomed home today, the fate of 5 more South Africans still detained in that province remains uncertain. The Chinese government is yet to indicate whether they will be charged alongside others on suspicion of having links to a terrorist organization. Now, to give us the latest, we are joined via Skype from Pietermaritzburg by Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, founder of aid organization Gift to the Givers, who played a part in securing the safe return of these South Africans who will be home today. Good morning, Dr. Suleiman. Thanks for joining us once again.
Morning, Evan.
Dr. Suleiman, just give us the latest on those expected home today. What time do you expect them to arrive here in South Africa?
Well, yesterday when we checked to confirm that they were on the flight, they left around 6 p.m. South African time last night. We're expecting them to arrive sometime today. We're not sure of the exact time because we haven't got those details from the family yet.
The process, once they arrive, are you guys going to have some official, maybe media briefing, the like? Are we going to have an idea how they were treated and so forth?
We're not going to do that now. None of us will be meeting them at the airport. We're leaving that only for the family members to meet them at the airport because we still have the other 5 in detention. And to ensure the safety and security of the other 5 members, it is more prudent to meet them privately and try to find out what exactly happened there, if they have any idea, to find out about the conditions of the other 5. And once we know it's the right time, and if they prepare to, then we will ask them to speak to the media.
At the Gift of the Givers, Dr. Suleiman, have you had any contact with any of the other detainees in Mongolia? Have you had any discussions maybe with officials from the Chinese government?
We're not getting involved in the negotiations. This is a government-to-government negotiation between the South African government and the Chinese government. As far as other detainees are concerned, nobody has had access to them except government by consular access. Those detainees, none of the 20 were given the opportunity to speak to their family members right till now. So we have to wait till we meet them face-to-face till they release. Other than that, the only information comes to the South African embassy in Beijing.
Now, Dr. Suleiman, a political party that I won't name here in South Africa, they've made quite an outlandish claim, some would say. They say that they were found, these detainees were found in the possession of espionage equipment, and they're being detained because they are suspected of being spies. Do you have any information about this?
No, the Chinese government has never said that. If you look at the Chinese media themselves, their own media, they were saying people were involved in some criminal charges may be put to the South Africans. They never mentioned specifically about espionage. The only thing that came out very, very strongly was a suggestion that they were watching propaganda videos. Now, that is the strongest charge so far, propaganda videos. Initially, there was some suggestion of them linked to some suspected terror group, which they didn't come forward with. Then there was some suggestion of them belonging to a banned organization. That got cancelled. And the only thing that stands out very, very strongly now is the fact they were watching propaganda videos. And if there was satellite equipment or technical equipment or espionage equipment, these people have gone through so many airports in that country, traveling there for 30 days. Surely one airport or some machine would have picked it up in 30 days through all the travel in all those airports.
Dr. Suleiman, your gut feel, what does it say? When will the other detainees be home? Days, weeks, or months?
It's a very difficult question, but I think it will be days. I don't think it will be months, because I don't think they have anything to hold them with. My speculation is this very clearly. I think the videos that they were carrying has to do with Ramadan. Because in Ramadan, you know, we Muslims, we watch videos to do with the recitation of the Holy Quran, or the recitation about the praise of the Prophet Muhammad, or recitation about the praises of God's names. And I'm very, very sure, because they were not at home or not in Saudi Arabia and decided to get some religious upliftment, they must have put those videos on an iPad from some kind of an app, which most of us all over the world carry. It's not illegal. I'm sure when the Chinese realize that, they will allow them to go. And given the fact that South Africa and China have very good relations, the fact that the deputy minister is there, and these are innocent people, once that is clear, I have a feeling that within the next few days they will be released.
Dr. Suleiman, I want to wish you, your family, and your loved ones Eid Mubarak, and hope that it's a fantastic week of celebrations for you. And thank you for the fantastic work that you do in every case where South Africans are at risk. Thank you very much. That's Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, who's the founder of the Gift of the Givers. And as you know, whenever there's a crisis in the world, even if it doesn't involve any South Africans, they are there first to give support to the needy. Of course, tomorrow is the 18th of July, and it's also the birthday of South Africa and the world's most celebrated icon, our former President Nelson Mandela. The month of July, tomorrow, is Nelson Mandela International Day. It offers South Africans the opportunity to embrace and to celebrate the life and work of this great man. People are encouraged to recognize their individual power to make a change in the world around them. Two rural villages in the Eastern Cape, that is of Mvezo, where Mandela was born in 1918, and Kunu, his final resting place, will come alive this weekend to remember their own son who gave so much to the world. Now, our reporter, Unathi Bingose, joins us from Kunu to share with us what will be happening over the weekend. He is with a guest. But before you do the interview, just do a quick scene setter for us, Unati.
A very good morning to you, Eben, and the viewers. And we are indeed broadcasting from Tata. I guess there's no ambiguity about our exact position. I mean, we are at the Nelson Mandela Museum right here in Gunu. It's on top of the hill overlooking the Mandela household, down along the N2 road, and that's where the man lays buried. I can tell you that it is the eve of the Nelson Mandela Day, a day sanctioned by the United Nations back in November 2009. It is also the eve of Dr. Nelson Mandela's, what would have been rather Dr. Nelson Mandela's 97th birthday. And of course, it is the eve of the Day of Goodwill. A lot of people will be rolling up their sleeves, getting their hands dirty, doing goodwill unto others, trying to make a difference into people's lives. Right? We understand that here in South Africa it is called, and the entire month of July, it is known as the Mandela Month. And as you may have seen on the news, I mean, a lot of activities have taken place already all across the country. And right here in Gunu, they have started already. And I'm sure things are going to shift up a gear tomorrow as the entire world will join in this Day of Goodwill. I mean, to speak to me more about what is happening right here in Gunu right now and what will be happening over the weekend, we are now joined by Ms. Nokuzola Tetani. She is from the Nelson Mandela Museum. Ma'am, a very good morning to you and welcome to Newsroom. Tell us what is happening right now and what will be happening over the weekend from your side.
Well, it's a very busy day today. It's exciting as well. We're doing 3 activation sites today. And we're starting, with a 2-day process at the hospital, the Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital, at the Children's Ward, where we are refurbishing, the Children's Ward. And one of the major things that we'll be doing today is the handing over of 76 beds with linen as well as curtains. And we're also painting the children's wards. And another activation site is at the Tandogazi Senior Primary School, and we're refurbishing the school where we're working in partnership with SABC. And then in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, we'll be having a seminar, and the theme is South Africa of Nelson Mandela's Dream in the 60th year of the Freedom Charter, and it will be led by our Minister Natim Tetwa, that is Minister of the Department of Arts and Culture. We'll be doing those 3 sites today, and then tomorrow we'll be continuing with the process that is the handing over of the gifts to the children. A lot of gifts, those young patients will be receiving gifts from Ndaba Mandela, accompanied by our chairperson, that is the chairperson of Nelson Mandela Museum, and Mrs. Yokwana. And we'll also be doing quite a lot of things because we're also in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, and then who'll be training, that is the local youth in vet, and some other, farming activities will be happening as well. And then we'll also have a women's empowerment program. Our women, will be gathered here today, and then they will be workshopped around so many things. And more than anything else, the focus, will be also to crafters and artists, because they will be, they will learn how to produce market-friendly products, and also accessibility of international markets, in fact, as well as South African markets. And another thing that we'll be doing as well is the technology workshop that is for learners and primary learners, and they will be learning tomorrow. The program is called Making Computers, friendly to young children, and that will enable them to have access, to the world, to share their ideas, with the world, that is with youth around the world. And there's quite a lot of things that will be happening as well, because from 1 o'clock we'll be having a concert, and everyone from wherever, from around South Africa and from around the Eastern Cape and Mthatha is welcome to come and join us. The concert is free, and it will be featuring prominent artists such as Uvusinova and NNCG, Nati, and many other artists. And, we also have international artists such as Zandai and others. And it will be a very busy day today. As you can see that we've already started with the process.
I understand that you're going to have to leave for the Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital shortly. Tell us about just some of the people that are going to be there. I understand that you've mentioned the Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Natim Tetwa.
Yes, and the artist Zendaya will be there as well. He's from Disney. And he's a very popular artist. And then there will be other artists as well that will be joining the minister and Ndaba Mandela. And our chairperson will be there, Mrs. Nozuko Yokwana, and other dignitaries.
Ma'am, let us not take up much of your time. Thank you very much for availing yourself. Let us leave you to go to the Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital.
Thank you so much as well.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, Eben. I mean, a lot is going to be happening here over the weekend. It's not going to be just work. I mean, there's going to be a bit of fun also, as you have been told that there's going to be a concert tomorrow. It is in partnership. It is a partnership between the SABC Foundation and, of course, the Nelson Mandela Museum and the Nelson Mandela Foundation. But what I can tell you is that not only is action going to be happening right here in Kunu, down in Mvezo, Matiba's birthplace also, a lot is going to be happening there. We understand that the Minister of Basic Education, Mama Angie Mutsecha, is going to be leading processions that side, replacing what was supposed to be President Jacob Zuma's visit. We understand that he was meant to open a school down there, but that has been put on ice for now. It's scheduled to be happening on the 25th of this month, where President Jacob Zuma will be down at Mvezo to open that school. However, events that are lined up for that day are still going to be continuing. We'll be broadcasting from there tomorrow. With that, let's wrap and hand back to you guys in Joburg.
Thank you, Nati. It seems like it's a bright and sunny day down in Kunu. Should be a very festive weekend there as the life and times of Nelson Mandela is being celebrated. Not just in Mvezo and in Kunu, but all around South Africa and the world. It is, after all, International Mandela Day. Now, struggle icon Ahmed Kathrada spent 26 years and 3 months of his life in prison, 18 of which were on Robben Island. After his release, Kathrada dedicated his time to transform the image of Robben Island from being a place of hardship and pain to being a place of freedom and a triumph of the human spirit. Now, in his latest book, titled Triumph of the Human Spirit, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation officially launched Ravonia's Struggle Stalwart, Kathrada's book, to coincide with the anniversary of the Lily's Leaf Farm raid, as well as Nelson Mandela Month. Now, from the foundation, we are joined by the director, Nishan Belton, this morning. Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you.
An interesting book, a coffee table book. It's really beautiful, and some of the pictures in there are absolutely priceless. Tell us about the book and the content and how you guys put it together.
Well, essentially, this book is about Ahmed Kathrada's return visits to Robben Island. To date, we've counted over 300. And it started off basically by us trying to figure out just how many visits he had made to the island and with whom. What we then discovered was that he had kept meticulous diaries since his release from prison, as well as once he had become accustomed to using emails, that was a secondary source. Putting all of that together, plus working with the Robben Island Museum itself, we were able to come up with almost records of over 300 visits. We then took the opportunity to write to many of the people whom he had taken to the island, asking them to reflect on those visits. Many of them willingly agreed, and you will find their stories and reflections of their visits in this coffee table book, as well as the photographs of the range of dignitaries, personalities from across the globe whom he has taken there since his prison release.
Now, the book is coinciding with the raid on Lily's Leaf Farm. Just tell people why this is so important.
Well, in July the 11th, 1963, Ahmed Kathrada and a number of others were arrested at Lily's Leaf. And that was the start of the famous Ravonia trial.
Yeah.
We thought that it was important for this book to be launched at the place that they would have entered through to go back to Robben Island, from where they then continued their long imprisonment. So that was a significant place to launch the book, and was a significant time to indicate the title of this and to reflect the triumph of his return visits and of all of the political prisoners who came out of Robben Island not broken.
Yeah. Interesting that you would say that, and the real interesting scenario that's coming out for me is the changing of the image of Robben Island and how it's become so important to Ahmed Kathrada. Why is that?
Well, for him, if you go to Robben Island, you will see the inscription at the Mandela Gateway. And in there he writes that Robben Island should not be seen as a place of despair, but rather one that gave hope to the struggle and gave hope to the world. And that's the image that he thinks Robben Island needs to be remembered for, rather than as a place that had intended to break political prisoners and a place where the apartheid government had hoped that they would have been forgotten. In fact, the reverse happened. Robben Island became a symbol of freedom. Its prisoners became to symbolize the struggles of all South Africans, and their imprisonment helped to galvanize the world to continue the struggle against the apartheid government. So Robben Island, aside from being a university for its prisoners, stands as a symbol of the triumph of the human spirit over all forms of adversity and oppression.
What is the lesson you'd say, young people of today who are often at the effect of what I at times call a media that can be irresponsible? What should they learn from the life and times of Ahmed Kathrada?
That nothing is impossible. Firstly, education for him is very important. Despite being in prison, he completed 4 degrees. And that's one of the key lessons that he would want to impart from his imprisonment there, was that despite your circumstances, education can still be very, very important. I think, secondly, the idea of continuing to struggle for a just, a democratic and an equitable society and a world is something that he thinks Robben Island should serve as a reminder for all kinds of generations.
And as the director of the foundation, tomorrow's Nelson Mandela Day, what's the message from the foundation with regards to International Mandela Day?
We have a lot of work to do. South Africa can become a better place if we all make our contributions, and not only on Mandela Day, but as the Mandela Foundation itself says, make every day a Mandela Day, and that is something that we try to do, and we think many others should also try to emulate.
There's a book. It's a fantastic coffee table book with some real incredible pictures in it. I've gone through it, and I would really like one. I might just ask Nishan if you want to leave it behind with me. Wonderful book, beautiful book, some really incredible pictures with some world icons that you would never ever have thought about, capsulated in this book. More than 300 visits since he's a free man, Ahmed Kathrada has made to Robben Island. I thank you for joining us this morning and sharing this wonderful book with us. I think all South Africans should have a look at it, or should have it in their homes. It really is that good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, tomorrow the world celebrates International Mandela Day, and South Africans are urged to give 67 minutes of their time doing good for others by acting on the idea that each person has the power to change the world. Here are some of the comments that we've managed to rustle up out of the social media pages. Commit to work towards a nation where all of us are winners. All of us have shelter, food, and education. That's a quote from Nelson Mandela. Itumeleng Butelezi says, I find that helping people out for 67 minutes and then going back to your selfish self totally defeats the purpose of Mandela Day. Yes, the change needs to happen in your mind, in your life. Marion McKinnon says, it's the coldest day of the year so far. Let's share the warmth we have by donating a blanket at Benny's. Hashtag Mandela Day. Yes, we all need to chip in. We all need to take our children, take them to orphanages, take them to hospice tomorrow. That's what I'm doing with my son, just to show him how fortunate he is. Now, let's take a look at the pick of the day. It comes from IQ Academy. Caption, tomorrow we honor Nelson Mandela. What are you doing, or what are you going to be doing on hashtag Mandela Day to make the world a better place? Teach our children to make the world a better place. Then we can succeed. Then we have an idea. Nelson Mandela says it's in our hands. Put it in our children's hands. Now, let's take a look at the front pages from around the globe. In the United Kingdom, the Independent reports that more than a year after England and Wales introduced a new law criminalizing the practice, there's just been one prosecution for forced marriage, despite more than 1,200 potential cases being discovered every year. Moving to China, the South China Morning Post, Sino-Japanese relations will be harmed and the chances of war in Asia will increase now that a controversial security bill that could see Japanese troops fighting abroad for the first time in 70 years has been backed by the powerful lower house of parliament in Tokyo. Finally, in Europe, Times reports that the future of BBC Radio 1 and 2 came under threat yesterday as ministers cleared the way for a reduced license fee, with viewers paying a top-up subscription charge for premium shows such as sport and drama. As we head into a quick break, let's just take a look at a famous quote by Tata Nelson Mandela, who we'll all be remembering tomorrow. It says, "Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front." Can you understand it? Do you get it? We don't need a title to be leaders. You don't need you don't need to be in charge to be a leader. Lead by the example of your life. Time for us to take a break. Tomorrow is Nelson Mandela Day. This is Newsroom on SABC News.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, my ladies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruan Benoni. My name used to be Ruan Hollywood, because I always want to go to Hollywood. But when my mother says the bus only goes for Benoni. I was on Patricia Lewis Poop Idols, and the winner of the Poop Idols can come here to sing for Eben and the guys here. I came 12th, but then the other 11 guys was in a bus crash, so I scored a lock. I'm going to sing a song for you now, because I'm a musician and I got the toaster. I'm going to sing for you a song was called, it was close to my heart, something what I really love. It's called Toast. Marx, he said, go. All around the country, all around the coast. People always ask me what I like most. I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast. I always tell them, I like toast. Yeah, toast! I like you one. Thank you for that.
Welcome back, welcome back, Gino. This is Gino Fabry. Gino is a South African comedian. Gino's doing a show right now. It's called Gino Fabry is Completely Nuts. Now, you did the first show last night at Empress Palace. How did it go?
It was absolutely fantastic. I think my first real sojourn into Joburg in a public forum, and it was fantastic. A standing ovation, and it was awesome. Thank you, guys. Anybody who's there, thank you so much. Thank you.
Now tell us about the show. You do this kind of thing. You do 5, 6, or 7 characters in the show, and it kind of deals with what all the fears that we have as South Africans, or all the stereotypes and the hang-ups that we deal with. Tell us about that a little bit.
Absolutely. It's basically, I'm all to do with entertainment. So I do characters, accents, and I've got all those guys that you know. You know those guys, Evan. You know those oaks. They are. You find them on the street corner. You find them when you're working. You find them in the workplace. You know. So basically, I want to entertain. I take the audience on an entertainment journey. Coming from PE originally, you've got to do everything. You know, if you want to make a little bit of money and you want to survive. I dance. I play drums. I'm a drummer as well. Yeah. And I do comedy, obviously, with the different characters. So the characters take it through, and then I finish on every half on a little finale. I do a dance and a drums, and so basically it's just trying to entertain people as much as possible in those hour and a half or 2 hours. You know?
Well, that's where we are in South Africa right now. I want to ask you, it's, you know, with the forces of good art now, it's Mandela Month, tomorrow's Mandela Day. Are you doing any special tributes, or are you going out doing something?
My wife is sitting knitting blankets at the moment while I'm working here. So I'm going to have to go back and join and sew them together.
Let's talk about comedy quickly. You know, we see that the world is now waking up to South African comedy a little bit, snapping up some of our writers. Trevor Noah is going to do the Daily Show. Are we in a sort of golden era in South African comedy?
There's definitely, look, there's always been a place for comedy. When people need to laugh, you know. It's and I think Trevor Noah has just elevated that whole thing. He's done a fantastic job of putting South Africa out there, you know. And there's a very active comedy scene in the country, you know. I'm not really. It's difficult to explain what I do, in that it's not a stand-up comedy as such, although there are segments of stand-up throughout each character. But I love to take on the characters. People love to laugh at themselves, you know.
South Africans like to laugh at themselves. South Africans need to laugh at ourselves a little bit. You get an idea that we're getting a little bit too angry in South Africa these days?
You know, there's always that side. But sometimes South Africans are they come back from anything. We've been through the mill, you know. Yeah, but we've been through the mill, you know. Yeah, but
tell us, just quickly before you wrap, tell us where people can watch your show, next show, or where you're going to be in Joburg.
Come and support. It's date night as well. You know, your relationship's falling apart. Take your wife, take your girlfriend. Where's your wife? Bring her along.
My wife has high expectations on a date night.
on the 21st, that's Tuesday and Wednesday next week. 21st, 22nd at Pretoria and Musikskeer, and 22nd at Cresta Barnyard.
Gino Fabry is completely nuts. That's what the show is called. Go and check it out. It should be a bit of fun. But of course, there's also time for news, and we have to try and be serious. Now, the passenger rail agency has caused quite a stir. It's fired the CEO, Lucky Montana. He'll hold a media briefing in Johannesburg today. Let's have a look what you guys have been saying about this. It's been all over social media today. Of course, that is Tito Mboweni, who says this Prasa thing is much bigger than what we are told for now. Many moons ago, I warned that whenever there's a huge tender, there's lots of thieves. Is that the real account of Tito Mboweni? Is that the real Tito Mboweni? Are we sure? Prasa, the light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train, but don't panic, the train won't fit. Thank you, Gideon. Everyone's a comedian today, isn't it? Zulu Prime Minister says Prasa's Montana must either have refused to grease hands completely or he greased the wrong faction. He is paying the price now. I like his name, though. I think Lucky Montana is one of the coolest names in the South African landscape, mind you. Yes, Prasa's, greasing the hands, wrong factions, whatever. Tito Mboweni says it's going a lot deeper than that. If that is the real Tito Mboweni, I'm always worried about whether it is the real thing when we see these Twitter names and accounts pop up. Anyhow, time for us to take a look at our sports segment this week. And, well, we're changing the focus a little bit this week. We're looking at something integral to success within team sports. That's team identity, ethos, and vision. Now, sports psychologist, sports fan, eye-to-eye partner, Julian de la Hunt is with us almost every week now, and he's here to look at some examples and successes. Good morning, Julian.
Morning, Ewan. How are you doing?
Very good.
Good.
What is the common characteristic that successful teams have?
Well, I think, Ewan, first and foremost, great teams have a great team identity. And when we talk about team identity, it's all around attributes. What are the attributes of a really great team? Attributes drive behavior, and those behaviors ultimately drive performance.
In the South, let's look at a team that's kind of in the news right now. MTN Kubeka, who's at the Tour de France. They've done so well. What is it for you that stands out about this team?
Well, again, they're not just about a cycling team. They stand for so much more, and that is quite evident throughout their ethos of a cycling team. They're starting to attract and recruit the right cyclists. Some of the best cyclists around the world have shown interest in joining this team. They're not just there to make up the numbers. As a team, they're carrying the hopes of not only a nation from South African perspective, but obviously from an African perspective. Every budding young cyclist, every budding young cyclist who doesn't know they're a budding young cyclist as yet, this will be an inspirational vision for the future.
Why are they team identity, ethos and vision? Why is it so important at the top level?
Well, we always talk about marginal gains when we talk about the top level. So on paper, most teams look very, very similar from a technical perspective. So the team ethos is what sets you apart. You can't start talking about marginal gains before you've set up the cultural foundation of the team. So culture is king. And what culture really is it's the glue that pulls people together.
Bring that back to the corporate world. Bring it back to say, an editor leading a team of journalists, or a marketing executive leading a sales team. Culture is king. How does it play out in the corporate world?
Yeah, absolutely. So shared vision. You know, shared vision would be the first thing we talk about from a corporate perspective as well as a sporting perspective. Do we have the shared vision? Do we have the right attributes? Are we bringing the right people on board? And how that plays out in a corporate environment when we're talking about team and cultural performance.
So generally speaking, the most basic need of the human being is to belong.
That's it.
And if you can understand it and maybe celebrate that, you can have success.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, when you're trying to galvanize a team and pull a team together, we often use a very well-known and it's an old model, but it's a very applicable model, the Maslow's hierarchical model of success. And we spend lots of time on creating that engagement and ultimately driving self-actualization. Once you've got team members who belong, have a self-belief, they can then move to not only an individual self-actualization, but as a team, they can galvanize and move forward as well.
The Springboks, they run out onto the field. Tomorrow they play Australia. We're going to a World Cup. We're supposed to be wearing our Springbok jerseys today, says the Minister. How do you view the culture within the Bok team right now? How do you view that ethos? And then the messaging that comes out of the team. I watched an Australian commentator said something yesterday that they can't believe that the coach would be breaking the confidence of his own players, especially young players, a guy like Andre Pollard, who he's openly criticizing in the media.
Well, I mean, let's be careful what the Australians have to say in the day or two before a big clash. I think the
actually was a New Zealander.
Was a New Zealander, but the Springbok ethos has always been one of success. You know, there's a psychological concept called the Rosendahl effect, which really is around the expectation placed on an individual or a team dictates the way they perform. So if we look at Bafana and we look at the Springboks, the expectation on the Springboks dictates their culture. They only select the best, and the history plays a massive role. So if you're putting on the number 10 jersey, you're comparing yourself to greats of the past. And that ethos needs to be relayed throughout.
Are we starting as underdogs tomorrow? What's your call?
No, I think my call is a good one for the Springboks. I think the Boks by more than 5. I know it's going to be a tough conditions, but I think we're going to be ready for the Aussies tomorrow.
Well, I think there might be an upset on the card if we look at what the pundits are saying. The bookies have made us underdogs. Julian says us by a comfortable margin. Thanks for coming in this week again, Julian. Give us unique insights. Isn't it nice to get high-level input into something that we all think we know about? Thanks, Julian.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan.
Now, today's tweet of the day, it comes from Inistlale. May your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears. Nelson Kholi, Lahla Mandela Day. Time to serve. What are you doing? 67 minutes. Time to take a break. When we come back, it's a little bit of music. And we're doing the Walk of Stars here in Johannesburg. Should be interesting.
For the farmer, fire sometimes epitomizes a new beginning, purifying and cleansing the ravages of winter. With the help of the Children of Fire, Mita is now a social worker manager and helping other survivors to unleash their potential.
People should just allow people who are disabled or disfigured or whatever to be who they are.
Now happy and a bit more confident, Ntabiseng helps around at the Children of Fire with chores.
People must come with a full heart to give, not to do the selfie, ach shame, here's me and a burn kit.
Join me, Rifiwe Mwilwa, on Bophelong every Saturday at 17:30.
Welcome back. You with Newsroom here on SABC News. Now, first on the continent, Afri Global Walk of Stars, a Walk of Fame styled installation which launched on Wednesday in Rosebank here in Johannesburg, is similar to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It was planned along Craddock Avenue in the northern Johannesburg suburb by African Global Heritage Foundation. It will feature 5 pointed stars inlaid into the pavement, which will be inscribed with names of people who've distinguished themselves and have left their mark globally and locally. Now, to tell us a little bit more about this initiative, I'm joined by Phineas Tikana, who is, well, the face and spokesperson of the Walk of Stars. Very good morning to you, Phineas. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me today.
Tell me about the launch itself, the Walk of Stars, and then the thinking around this initiative.
Okay, what we did last week is that we did what we called a groundbreaking induction media event, where we, for the first time, we've actually gone out to the general public, notifying them of the Walk of Stars coming to Johannesburg, as we embark now on a campaign drive for everybody else to become aware of what the walk is about.
So it's styled on the sort of Hollywood Walk of Fame, as it were. Who will be the first person to be honoured in this way here in South Africa?
The first person to be honoured on the Walk of Stars, obviously, is the great Nelson Mandela, whose induction we officially made public on the night of the event. And
the launch, Wednesday's event, tell us how that went.
The event went extremely well. We had an overwhelming media presence who were eager to know exactly what is going on with the Walk of Stars, what is the model, what is the objective, and what it entails to do and achieve, and why in particular did we choose the Rosebank location.
Phineas, how do you decide on who qualifies to be on the Walk of Stars? There are many celebrities in the world today. Everyone's having their 15 minutes of fame on social media and the like. What's the criteria?
The criteria is that there's a nomination that is open to the public, where the public, they nominate anybody who they feel that they should be honored, who have done something that is iconic, something that is of great achievement, enough to deserve them to be inducted. Then when the nomination is done, it's passed through to the nominations committee that is in place, and then from there the decision is made and validated by a leading auditing company.
And the response from the public thus far, how has it been?
The response has been very tremendous in the fact that there's that general excitement that for the first time in South Africa, we are doing something positive in terms of celebrating our legends, our heroes, whilst they are still alive.
Is it going to be South Africans that are going to be the only ones honoured on this walk, or are we going to include the entire African continent?
The walk is going to include the entire African continent as a whole, and that's why we have called it the Afri Global Walk of Stars, which means at the end of the day it's covering South Africa and all the fellow Africans on the continent and in the diaspora.
And are you looking at categories, or is it that nomination process that's going to drive it?
There are categories that are there where we've got those who've excelled in radio, excelled in recording, excelled in the materials, talking about heroic selfless deeds, which cause them to get exalted recognition. And then we're looking at the theatre, sport. So those categories are the ones
You're not mentioning television there.
Television is coming on. Oh, we've got 7. Television is, yes. There won't be Walk of Stars without television.
Okay, well, Phineas, it's a fantastic initiative. You know, we need to build a positive image and a positive self-image, and all of that comes through the Euro principle.
Absolutely.
You know, people love to look, they need people to look up to, and we all want to be inspired. So I think it's a fantastic initiative. Thank you for joining us. That's Phineas Kitana, who is the face and spokesperson of the Walk of Stars. It's in Rosebank. It's been launched this week. It's a fantastic initiative. You should go and have a look at it. Now, I can tell you that in golf, big-hitting Dustin Johnson has taken a one-stroke lead into the second round of the British Open. Of course, it's raining torrentially there now and play's been suspended, but he's just ahead of a couple of South Africans and Jordan Spieth, of course, the hottest name in golf right now, who is also just 2 shots behind him. Now, Scotty says, I think I'll just keep my PJs on. Grab a duvet and get all cozy, wozy to watch them getting soaked from the comfort of my couch. Yeah, it's going to be a very wet and windy day at the British Open. A tough day, I think it's going to be for those. Greg Logan says, can't wait for the hashtag British Open second round in the wind and rain. Jordan Spieth's attitude is that somebody has to win. It might as well be me. Talking about adversity, of course, we're all pulling for the South African contingent. There are 4 South Africans in the hunt after the first round, pretty much. Scotty says, morning, folks. Today should be fun for the golfers. A nice Scottish day for them to play in, or if they're talking about the British Open. Now, some of these artists that will be on the burning session. Now, I know the burning session is a hip-hop competition. Very good morning to you, my dear. You guys have joined us here. Tell me a little bit about yourself and then the burning session itself.
Okay, my name is Eves, and I'm a singer-songwriter who comes from a small town in the Eastern Cape called Butterworth. And I'm here performing with Mono T. We did a track together, actually remixed a track of mine called Bayeza, and it's a song about abuse, and yeah, that's just me in a nutshell.
Mono T, tell me something, my brother. They talk about hip-hop being dead. Oh, your phone has just gone off. Just tell your mother to. Herman, just take his fan off him. Just take his fan. We see you when you're on TV, you become popular very quickly, my brother. That's how it is. But tell us about hip hop in South Africa, globally. What do you think? Is hip hop dying?
I guess hip hop now is doing very well in our country. We've been waiting for it, you know. So I'm glad that our artists now, they're getting those recognition, you know, from long time, you know. They've been trying so hard to push hip-hop. It's doing very well now.
Well, guys, it's Friday. It's Friday morning. Yeah. We've been waiting all week for you to come and perform for us. So please, take it away. Let's take it away with Eves and Mono T.
I'm leaving you, Titikiwe. Ufuna uye muntu ozonyamisa.